Hi folks, thanks for having a little look at me video. And today I'm at Calder Stones Park and I'm looking at the ancient Calder Stones, and they really are quite amazing. Um, there's a number of the Calder Stones. The proper name for them is Gualder Stones, and Gualder actually means great enchanter. Now, these stones, they're actually older than Stonehenge themselves. And at one time, there used to be a Neolithic settlement here in the Calder Stones area. There was a huge tumulus, a huge burial mound. Now, the Neolithic tribes people were buried inside this tumulus in clay urns. And to get into the tumulus, there was a long, narrow passage. At the entrance was these ancient and mythical Calder stones, but they are absolutely fascinating. As I say, older than Stonehenge themselves. Now, what's interesting about them is that they're classed as male and female. Now, the males are the tall, slender ones, and the females are the ones with more rounded proportions. So they're classed as male and female. But also, there's some very interesting markings on the Calder stones. Now, on this one in particular, there are images of either human hands or feet. But what is interesting about them is that each one has an extra digit. I'll just point out here one, two, three, four, five, six. Now, I used to think that this would be because of it being a settlement, to be a lot of inbreeding. But many years ago, I had the pleasure to meet Liverpool's own Druid, and he's a very intense guy. His name was Acclamar. He took on a Druidic name, and he attended all these Druidic conferences. But he told me that this was a common sight on many stones, and it signifies great magical power. So it all fits in with the theory of Gualder, meaning great enchanter. Also on the stones, I'll just come around to the back of this one. There are perfectly formed concentric circles, and there are a number of these embedded into the stones. Now, to the trained druidic eye, these were indications of where other burial mounds were located in the nearby area. And even today, folks, if you look on an Ordnance Survey map, anything of a raised or a mound area, it's signified by concentric circles. There's another one just on the back here, and there's quite a number of them actually. This one here is probably the biggest stone here. They're a lot bigger than we see it because they're embedded probably about another metre into the ground. But this has what's called cup and ball indentations. Now, this big one was actually a map of the interior of the burial mound. And again, the trained druidic leader could figure out where the various urns were interred inside the actual burial mound. So they are very interesting indeed. More concentric circles on this one here. And when you think all the thousands of years ago that these were carved in, and they're still here to this very day. A number of years ago, a bird was actually discovered on this very stone. You can't see it today, but it's at the very, very bottom. And it looks a little bit like a robin, actually. And it was a young boy on a school trip here, and it was him who actually discovered the hidden bird on the stone. On this one again, more concentric circles on the bottom. And this one here, now, this the top of this has been lost for probably for all time. But the museum guys, years back when they were doing tests and so on, they were greatly distressed that they couldn't find the remaining of this because they assume that if you look closely, there's a rising star on here. There was various moon shapes as well, and it's assumed that this would have been a map of the constellation in the skies as the stars were in place, probably over 6,000 years ago. So it's a shame that that's long gone. But they really are quite interesting, our own Neolithic stones. When I say Neolithic, it's when man came out from being cavemen to being hunter-gatherers, and there was a Neolithic settlement in this area, which is now Calderstones area. But if you're ever in the park, folks, or if you ever come along on one of Gaz's walks, have a little look at the ancient and mystical Calder stones.